External and internal anatomy of a toad. All biology students will study the anatomy of the human body, but how can we really understand how all of our internal structures work together from simply reading about them? Have you ever wondered how the inside of your body works? When you breathe, where does the air go? Or when you eat, where does the food go? How do these things actually get to all of your cells to keep you alive? The answer is in the study of anatomy and physiology. Anatomy is the study of body structures, and physiology is the study of how those body structures function. Since it is illegal and inhumane to dissect a real-life human being, we use a frog instead to learn our anatomy. One reason frogs are often chosen to be dissected is that their bodies provide a good overview of the organ systems of a complex living thing. The organs present in a frog and the way they are laid out in the body are similar enough to humans to provide insight for students about how their bodies work. External anatomy of a frog. First, we're going to be differentiating frogs from toads. We're going to differentiate them based on their legs, their skin, eggs, and habitats. For their legs, frogs have longer legs where toads have shorter legs. Frogs typically use their long legs to jump and hop to places, while toads generally use them for walking. Most frogs have smooth skin covered in mucus, while toads have a rough, thick skin covered in warts, although some frogs also have warts in them. And while toads generally lay their eggs in long strands, as seen on the photo, frogs lay their eggs in a cluster that resembles a bunch of grapes. Generally, frogs spend most of their lives in or near water. Toads, on the other hand, get out on land a little more and find their way into gardens and yards. Difference between male and female frogs. Only male toads calls for mate, so if you encounter a frog singing, you know he's a male. Possibly associated with their vocal behavior, male frogs have dark-colored throats, while the throats of females are light in color. For many frog species, the females are significantly larger than males. This is to accommodate the amphibian mating process called amplexus. The male climbs on top of the female and she supports his weight as she discharges eggs and he spreads sperms on top of them. During the breeding season, male toads develop enlarged forearms, which helps them to clasp females for amplexus. Amplexus is the mating process of toads. Females are also significantly bumpier than males. With a lot of warts in them. A small round disc called a tympanum covers the ears of both male and female frogs. On males of most frog species, the circumference of this small disc is larger than the eye of a frog. On females, this circumference is equal to the size of the frog's eye. Identifying external parts. We have the head, trunk, hind limb, and forelimb. For the head, we have the eyeball, upper eyelid, tympanum, and nostril. For the hind limb, we have the thigh, shank, ankle, foot, and webbed toes. For the forelimb, we have the upper arm, wrist, hand, and digits or finger. Now moving on to the internal anatomy of a frog. Skinning and dissecting. This means apart and section means to carve, which comes together to form the definition of dissection, to cut apart. When you cut something up into sections, you are doing a dissection. You dissect a frog in the line of Alba. Pericardial cavity, the cavity that holds the heart. The pericardial cavity is potential space formed between the two layers of serous pericardium around the heart. There are two atria in the human heart, the left atrium that receives blood from the pulmonary lung circulation and the right atrium that receives blood from the vena cava. The right atrium, or the upper right chamber, receives the oxygenated blood from the body to the vena cava and pumps it into the right ventricle, which then sends it to the lungs to be oxygenated. The left atrium is one of the four chambers of the heart, located on the left posterior side. Its primary roles are to act as a holding chamber for the blood returning from the lungs and to act as a pump to transport blood to other areas of the heart. A ventricle is one of the two large chambers towards the bottom of the heart that collects and expels blood received from the atrium towards the peripheral beds within the body and lungs. The atrium, or the adjacent upper heart chamber, primes the pump. Periperitoneal cavity, or the lungs and other visceral. The periperitoneal cavity is a term denoting the pleural and peritoneal serous membranes, or the cavities they line. These are the lungs, liver, gallbladder, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, pancreas, urinary bladder, spleen, kidney, testes, fat bodies, ovaries, and oviducts. The lungs are the primary organs of breathing. The lungs are a pair of spongy air-filled organs located on either side of the chest with big, thin-walled sacs. The liver is the largest gland in the body. The liver's main job is to filter the blood coming from the digestive tract before passing it to the rest of the body. It is brown in color and is divided into three lobes: the right lobe, left lobe, and the median lobe. The gallbladder is a small rounded sac from the storage of bile and is found on the ventral surface of the median lobe of the liver. The stomach is a bag-shaped, muscular, slightly curved sac and has two regions, the cardiac region and the pyloric region. The cardiac region is wider anterior portion which joins the esophagus with the stomach. The pyloric region is a posterior region located near the pyloric sphincter. Small intestine is a long, narrow coiled tube, has an anterior and posterior portion, the duodenum and the ileum. The duodenum is the first and shortest segment of the small intestine. It receives partially digested food known as chyme. The ileum has an extremely large surface area both for the absorption of enzyme molecules and for the absorption of products of digestion. Pancreas is a long, thin, irregularly yellowish organ. The pancreas has two main functions, an exocrine function that helps in digestion and an endocrine function that regulates blood sugar. It is suspended on the gastrohepatoduodenal mesentery connecting the stomach, gastro, liver, hepa, and the small intestine duodenal. The large intestine is straight, unlike the coiled small intestine. It is continuous with the small intestine and it ends at the anus. Urinary bladder is a membrane-like bilobe sac. It is a ventral to the posterior end of the large intestine. The spleen is a rounded dark red gland embedded in the mesocretum, the mesentery which suspends large intestine to the dorsal body wall. The kidney is flat and elongated organ, dark brown in color. They help the body pass waste as urine, and they also help filter blood before sending it back to the heart. The testis is a pair of oval elongated cylindrical yellowish bodies, only in male toads, and are primary organs for reproduction in males. Fat bodies, also known as corpora aquosa. They are finger-like yellowish bodies. This is also found only in male toads and are attached to the testis. Ovaries are dark organs filled with eggs. When they are not filled with eggs, they are small, flat and pale, and irregularly shaped, are found only in female toads. Oviduct, paired white coiled tubes. They are lateral to the kidneys and are found only in female toads. That is all. Thank you. This is because, as you need more energy, your chemoreceptor will detect this change and signal your brain